Hello, race fans. Welcome to another episode of Short Track Guys Podcast, brought to you by ShortTrackExclusives.com. I'm your host, Thomas Faddis, alongside two other short track guys, and you know them well by now. Jim Pokrant, driver of the 07 Can'tQuitFishing.com, sportsman here locally at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, and Ted Baber of Ted Baber Video Productions, also locally here at Pensacola. What's up, guys?
Good evening, sir.
How y'all doing?
Doing good. We get into this coming week, but last week was a sportsman recap and what happened at Five Flag Speedway. And Jim, looks like you're on your way.
Well, I hope so. We found out yesterday that Five Flags canceled the first race in September because of lack of tires. September the 3rd, I believe, is when we were supposed to race. They canceled it. Lack of tires. We're going to come back on the 18th and run the Night of Champions, which will be Sportsman, Outlaws, Pro Trucks, and Pure Stocks. And it's a double points race. So we've figured out the math. We got to finish 8th or better to clinch the championship. We're going to go over that old hot rod of mine with a fine tooth comb and see what happens. This past race, we qualified second. As you know, the race prior, we had clutch problems. We ordered a clutch. It came in late. It was the wrong clutch, so I had to use the clutch disc that I had, and I had to sand it and clean it and put it in, and it worked. It wasn't 100%, but it got us through the night. Went out to qualify, and we qualified second by like 3/100ths, so, you know, no big deal. We were fast, and came in the pits and stuck my foot in the clutch, and the pedal went straight to the floor. I had zero clutch, no hydraulics, so we pushed it to our pit area, and we formulated a plan, and then the rain came, and we sat in the rain for about 4 hours waiting to see what the track officials wanted to do, and they wanted to get the late model, get us in.
Right.
There's only 3 features, and they were going to Montgomery the next night, and Sunday was going to be a bad day, so they were just trying to get it in, and we did get to race. They ran the late models first, and then we came along and had to be pushed off by a tow truck in high gear. Took the green flag, fell back to 4th, drove up to 2nd. Man, the guy running 2nd was mirror driving and parking the car, and I was being a good boy. I didn't bump him or touch him. I raced him clean, finally cleared him, and the leader was long gone. Congratulations to Brandon Fowler on the win. I think right now we're up by, 32 points?
33. Yep.
33 points. Mm-hmm. With a double points night. It can be lost, but it can also be won. We've just got to be smart, and that's our game plan. While we got an extra time off, we're going to pull the car all apart, go through a bunch of things we've been meaning to do, trying to get some better axles for the back end, because we had Caleb Burkett was leading the Pure Stock feature and broke an axle, and that was a wake-up call to me. It's time to buy some good axles and put them back in there, because we've got stock axles right now. And
that thing broke in spectacular fashion.
Yo, it bounced the car off the ground. That was freaky. I happened to turn around and see it happen. So that was pretty cool. We drove it on the trailer. We pushed it on the trailer because I had no clutch.
Right.
But the old girl did good again, and we went down to tech, and I got to tell you about this. We had a problem with where they wanted to check for soaked tires. That's just fine. Well, the other cars, they just pulled the rim up, sniffed, and Ricky looked. Ricky took mine off the rim and went to digging. And I think I know why, because there was a lot of complaining by the 00 in the one car that coming from the back the previous race, I was on a set of soaked used tires. And I offered to Mr. Brooks one of the tires that I ran last week. I said, I have all 4 of them. They're marked. If you want one, And he said, no, won't be necessary. So, yeah, you can call me a cheater all you want to, but I can guarantee you I'm not. And we run clean. That's one thing I pride myself in, is being running a legal race car. And I can beat those illegal cars, so that's fun. So we're having fun. We'll try to win this championship, and then we'll load it up and take it to the house.
Yeah, speaking of tires, is this situation with the cancellation and coming back on the Night of Champions, Hoosiers pretty much said, we're going to have you guys covered in all classes, not just the sportsman, but I mean, yes. I know the Pure Stocks run the same tire. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
I think he told me that they couldn't get enough to us to run a race this next Friday night. So he said, or not this next Friday, you know what I mean? In 2 weeks. Next Saturday. No, it was Friday. We're running on the next one will be Friday. The
last two.
I think it's on Friday. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was. It doesn't matter. It's been canceled, so that doesn't matter anyway. But we'll run on Saturday night for the final championship night. And Tim said he assured us that Hoosier assured him that we would have 4 tires per car. So we should be good. I mean, I'd be honest with you, man. I don't care. I just want to get this over with and get my jacket and my accolades and celebrate with my crew and my friends, Ted and all the guys that helped me on this car. Because I'm going to tell you, I can't do it by myself. And if it wasn't for them, and a little shout out to my buddy Ben Cranford, who finished 4th, had a podium finish till right at the end of the last lap. He got past and put on a good show, man. We've been working on that car kind of hard, changing some chassis stuff up and getting him better.
And you finished like that on a right front. It was just
it was right. He said the car started pushing halfway through the race. The right front tire was going down. I think it had like 10 pounds of air when he come in the pits. So kudos to him. He's learning. I think he's going to move up and run with us next year. Go heaven forbid. But
Mr. Excitement.
Yeah, exactly. And props and congratulations to Jake Garcia for winning that 100-lap Pro Late Model race. I'm going to tell you, there's a picture, you can search it out on the internet, of Jake Garcia having the 81 of Jet Nolan jacked about off the ground. That was a crazy picture. But Jake Garcia had the car to beat. Man, nobody was going to beat him. He was the fastest car, and he won the race. And congratulations on his first super late model win. The kids won
3 in a row, actually.
Yeah. So the kid's done really, really well. And every time he comes to Pensacola, he runs podiums. So it's about time he wins a race. And congratulations to Jake Garcia on a great race.
Well, that whole team with, former Snowball Derby winner Ricky Turner.
Yeah.
In 2002. You got a good crew. He's with Chase Elliott for a long time.
Yep.
So he's on a run and a roll, if you want to put those together. Look out. I mean, Jake Garcia is coming through, boys.
Oh, yeah. And what's cool is this car ain't covered with numbers and names and things like that. It's just his name basically and one sponsor.
Right.
And the kid he's a hell of a wheel man. He really is. He's a great little driver. Somebody to keep an eye on, that's for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That was the most aggravating night that we've ever gone through because it didn't rain, but it didn't stop. It just sprinkled just enough to keep the track wet, and we couldn't do it.
Oh, and a shout out to Sonny and them that came down from South Carolina. They raced up at Dillon. They came down and raced with us in Sportsman in a beautiful Monte Carlo that looked like Kel Yarborough's number 28 Hardy's car that he won the 84 Daytona 500 in. Beautiful car. Yeah. And shout out to those guys because I told them about our podcast and they said they'd give us a listen. So you guys get ready for the 18th. Come on down. And if you have any questions, give me a call. You got my number and I'll try to help you guys out because it was great to have you. Thanks for coming.
That was a pretty car. I loved it.
Beautiful car. I mean, gorgeous. Yeah. It was it looks so much like the Hardy's car that Harry Ranier's son signed it for him. So that's pretty dang cool.
So this next race is going to be the Night of Champions. Would be a week from this coming weekend.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, so you've got almost 2.5 weeks, or pretty much 2.5 weeks now to kind of do what you have to do to get ready for it.
Yeah, we do. And like I said, the car's on jack stands at the shop. I got to pull the transmission, fix the clutch. I'm putting a new throw-out bearing in it. A few other little odds and ends. I'm going to just bulletproof it. Right. Make sure that everything's good and tight. And Ted here got us some good bearings. We're not going to put them into the Derby because I just don't want to risk having a problem making a change because the car's working. We line up by points that night with a dice roll. So hopefully he'll roll us a 1. We'll start on the pole and we'll just drive off into the sunset, win the race and the championship. Plus, this next race is extra money, so
that's always good.
It's always nice.
Yeah. Are they going to allow 2 tires, or are you going to be able to buy 4?
Oh no! If the tires are there, we're going to have 4 brand new tires. Which you usually do anyway at the end of the season. We get 4 tires, just Derby, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I've got a lot of confidence, but I'm also cautiously optimistic because I've lost it in the last race. I've twice.
Right.
Once by 5 points, once by 6 points. So this time's going to be, it's the first time I've ever led it going into the last race.
Yeah, and you're putting new tires on it, which is going to change the characteristics of the car too. And you've been running the last really month and a half, 2 months on older tires, and you've gotten used to it. What do you think these new tires are going to do to the car?
Just tighten it up a little bit. I like to run my car loose anyway because, Harry Hogg said it best. Loose is fast and on the edge of control. So, you listen to Harry Hogg, the crew chief from Days of Thunder, you just run the car loose. So that's what I do. And I'll be real honest, I hadn't touched a bolt on the chassis on that car in 2 months because I drive it the way I like to drive it. And as long as we run across scales and the numbers look where I want them, drop the hammer and let her eat.
Yeah, right. Well, good luck. Good luck with that. I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, me too, man. I want that championship bad. I mean, it's the first time in my career, and I would love to win the championship night, take the trophy home, and do everything all in one night, and go to the awards banquet, which you guys are coming to, and I'm paying for the awards banquet that night. We're all going. We're going to sit at that head table and enjoy it.
Yeah, we'll have a little bit of celebration here, too, in the studio.
Thanksgiving.
Sure.
It's free beer, Thomas, at the awards banquet. So just letting you know, brother. You can Uber up there and have all you want because we're going to celebrate.
This tire situation kind of brings up an interesting situation because running the used tires really puts it back in the driver's hand.
It does.
Because, having new tires, everybody's really confident and feels good, but when you're on old tires, everything's a little sketchy. And if you can drive sketchy, you're good.
Well, and you got to consider, too, I mean, we've finished second 6 times this year. 5 of those races to the illegal number 00, and they've changed it, and now he's not as fast as he was. Right. And new tires do make a little bit of a difference, but if everybody's on new tires, everybody's going to be just the same. Right. My car's been on 4 new tires and been fast. My car's been on old tires and been fast. And the only reason why I'm so good on old tires, back when I run Superstock, I never bought tires. Right. I took Dave Redden's takeoffs. I put them on my car. I ran the next race. I'd get his takeoffs, run the next race. And I would do it. And the big joke around my team was it was Snowball Derby time when Jim bought 4 tires. That's just the way it was. I scrounged up enough money at the Derby to put 4 new tires on because I had to have them. And then I'd start the next season on that same set of tires.
Well, I remember somebody else that had a little bit of success on never buying new tires too. Some guy named Steve something or other.
Yeah,
he rarely bought tires.
He bought them, but he would buy like 1, or he'd buy 2, or he'd get there late and buy none and still win. That dude, I still want to shake his hand because I owe him an apology for some of the things that I bitched and complained about when he was racing. Because the dude was just a better driver. I mean, you sit back and look at that. Like I said, when a guy builds a $15,000 car, shows up, and then you jump in his old car and kick his butt with it, yeah, it's the driver. Yep. And he won in a car that never won a race out there. So, yeah, Steve Buttrick was one of the best it ever sat in a sportsman car.
That's very true.
All right. Well, that Night of Champions is coming up in about 2.5 weeks. I'm looking for the date, and I don't quite have it. But
18th, isn't it?
18th, September 18th.
Yeah, September 18th, Night of Champions. And you guys, if you're local, if you're out of town, and you want to come in and look at, some awesome cars and some great drivers, yeah, it's going to be that night. Double points now, no pressure, but I'm kind of thoroughly confident that he's going to do it, and you're going to have that purple jacket, and I wouldn't worry about a thing. You've been consistent up to this point. There's no reason not to have another night like you've been having. So just look forward to it, the September 18th.
Me too.
The only thing that's thinking up what we talked about before is if we get a bunch of people from across the bay.
I don't think a lot of them will come. I really don't. And even if they do, we've been outrunning them all year long. So it's. I mean, we're going to start up front no matter what. The worst we're going to start is 6th place.
Right.
And if they bring 12 cars, it doesn't matter. We'll start, drop the green, we'll get to the bottom. All we got to do is stay within striking distance of the 00, and it's all going to happen. So I'm not going to let it eat me up. I'm not going to consume me with it. I'm just going to do the best job I can do, and we'll see what happens. Yep. Just like old DW said, we're going to let the rough side drag.
Yep. Just see where everything falls.
That's it.
Well, we're gonna take it from local here at Pensacola, and we're gonna take it all the way across the country to Stockton 99 Speedway in Stockton, California. And you guys, this track is it's a 1/4-mile track just south of Sacramento. And you guys know the guy I'm about to mention.
Oh, yeah.
He drives the 43 super late model, and he's been here several times on all fours, been upside down once. His name is Derek Thorne from Bakersfield, California. And they were, this was going back to August 14th, and we do apologize for not touching on it because we are short track guys, and we try to cover as much as we can. But this is one of the guys that you're gonna see here in the Snowflake, probably a Snowdole Derby, like he's been doing the last 4 or 5 years.
Sitting on the pole for the Snowflake and the Derby last year. That's right. That's incredible.
Touched Too Much 227 and Spears SRL, the Southwest Tour Series, took home $26,000. The thing is that there were 21 late models, super late models that started that race. They had $10,000 to win. It was $15,000 bonus if you started in the back, and then they had I think $1,000 at the halfway leader to a 127 lap, almost a halfway. So he qualified by a very slim margin on the pole, and he and I guess 5 or 6 others, maybe more, decided to start in the back and go chase that money. And he came from shotgun, started 21st, and ended up winning $26,000 because he came and won the race.
That's awesome.
That explains a few things. I mean, a quarter-mile track with that many cars, that you had to be busy to get that done.
Yeah, and I think he's won that Southwest Tour Championship like 5 times. So he's a big dog out there in California, and they trek all the way over here and they run these big races. And we haven't seen him in a while, but I can assure you that they are getting that thing dialed in, and they will be here. At the end of this year.
He deserves a Derby, that's for sure. And I mean, he's one hell of a competitor and does a great job when he comes here. He's a nice guy, good guy you can talk to.
Yeah, definitely.
Great driver. And I just, when you sit on the pole for both races, that's impressive. And he would have won both of them. He broke in the 100-lapper, and then at the Derby, I think he got his heart broke there at the end. He led the most laps and just didn't have enough at the end.
I think Majeski and Derek got together, and I think it kind of rubbed the tire. If you look at the video in car, I think it rubbed the tire and it kind of upset Derek's car.
Got him sideways. I think Majeski got into him a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's a snowball derby, baby. It's balls out. Let's get it done.
I was down there in 3 and 4 when it happened too, and I've got a perfect shot of just exactly. I mean, I compared the two between Majeski and Thorne and the 100-lapper when Bubba got turned around, and there was a world of difference between those two.
Yeah. Well, Majeski didn't turn him. No. Bubba got dumped.
Yeah. That's all it was, too.
But I mean, it's... You know what? It's the Snowball Derby. It's the most prestigious short track race in America. It really is. We're going to talk about the Oxford 250. It's one of them. Right. But the longest one, the oldest one, is a Snowball Derby.
Yeah, Majeski finessed his way in.
Well, Majeski would have won the year before if somebody whose name we won't mention in the tower hadn't to run his cake hole on the race receiver and cause everybody to check up, and then next thing you know, they're all piling up.
Right.
You can't do that, man. Race directors need to direct the race, but they don't need to be telling drivers what to do. Sorry, my opinion. Might get me in trouble, but if you're a race director, you don't tell drivers, don't beat on each other, don't do that. No, hush.
Yeah, this isn't Facebook.
This is racing. We're going to swap, and it's exciting for the crowd. You're trying to make it unexciting for the crowd. I mean, that Snowball Derby finish last year was awesome. We've had some great Snowball Derby finishes as of late, and I mean, good shows, and that's what we need. Short track racing needs that.
Right.
Yeah.
These guys are moving up, and we need the next big thing to show up and win. And then you got steady guys like Derek Thorne and Bubba Pollard that aren't going to NASCAR that are going to race, late model racing, short track racing for the rest of their lives, and they always put on a show.
Right. Well, they end up with, Derek Thorne taking the win, Jacob Gomes, Bubba Nascimento, John Moore, and Cole Moore rounded out the top 5. And that was not only the single race that night. They had the Pro Late model, the Spears Pro Late model series. There's another guy from California that treks all the way over here and races these big races with Jeremy Doss.
Right.
Yeah, he was almost on the pole for the last super race we had and ran really, really well. I'm telling you, they're learning that Five Flags is an old girl. It wears out tires, and you've got to be there at the end. That's what cost Casey the win in the 26 car, was the fact that he flat overdrive his tires and kept spinning them, and Bubba just kept saving. When it come down to win the race, who's there? Bubba Pollard.
Jeremy Doss, Dylan Zampa, Cole Brown, Tyler Reap, and Seth Wise. Rounded up the top 5 in the Pro Late models. And some of those guys will kind of look at Jeremy Doss and Derek Thorne and all those guys in the Supers and Pros and say, you know what, I might want to just follow those and load it up and kind of see what we can do over here. So, the Super Late models and the Pro Late models are all over the country. And we try to touch as much as we can in a short period of time, but on a week-to-week basis on recapping and then upcoming events. And I'm going to turn it over to Ted. Ted's got a big one that's coming up here this weekend, somewhere in Fairlawn, Virginia, like a Motor Mile Speedway or something.
It is a Motor Mile Speedway. They've got 2 different classes running this weekend: late model stocks and the super lates. And the late model stock, there's a few people in here that we've heard of, but I can run the list for you real quick. That's Deke McCaskill, Brandon Pierce, Jonathan Findlay, Kyle Dudley, Caden Honeycutt. We've heard of him once or twice. Josh Berry, Rusty Skews, Timothy Peters, who I believe runs on the Craftsman. Or
He
the Truck
did.
Series.
He did. He was a Truck Series driver.
Yep.
Jared Fryer, we recognize that last name anyway.
Yeah, Freddie Fryers.
Joe Valento, Chase Purdy, Bobby McCarty, Mike Darn, Justin Johnson, Jake Crum. I believe I've heard that name before too, here and there. Minnie Tyrell, not sure about that one, but Mike Looney, Connor Jones, Jonathan Schaefer, Sam Yarber, Daniel Silvestri, and Lane Riggs in that class. But the super late model we're substantially more familiar with. We've got Justin Kreider, Michael Rich, Austin McDonald, Jake Keaton, Nick Neary, Carson Quapple, Jake Garcia, two
Yep.
we're really familiar with,
Yep.
Cody Connor, Jeff Batten, Matt Craig, Gio Bramonte, and Grant Enfinger in that race. So,
Well, there you
several
have it.
people.
Well, the real quick, the difference between a late model stock and a super late model, the late model stocks are perimeter cars. In other words, the roll cage goes from frame rail to frame rail. On a straight rail car, the right side frame rail is straight. It doesn't bow out. The late model stocks have less horsepower on a smaller carburetor. They also run stock type brakes and stock type suspension. I mean, as far as the geometry is concerned, a super late model, it's Katie bar the door, open it up and let it eat. You know, it's 700 horsepower. It's huge brakes. It's everything. Because Bubba Pollard drove one and said, man, those late model stocks are finesse. You really have to finesse one of those cars. So that's the difference. The only difference between a pro and a super is the engine, basically. Right. Just a little information for y'all.
Tech talk.
Tech talk. There you go.
Yeah, so we look forward to that event. We're going to keep you up to date in the next episode and give everything, all the results and on that race. And while we're out in California, we're going to come back all the way, not to Pensacola, but we're going to go to the Northeast in Maine. And there's a big event this coming weekend, and it's in Oxford, Maine, and it is the Oxford 250.
Yes, one of the best short track. Another exclusive superior short track race.
Right. It's a 3/8 mile. It seats 14,000 people.
Oh, Lord.
The capacity in Oxford. And we know one of our biggest heroes, Bubba Pollard, won it 3 or 4 years ago. He's going back up there with Stephen Nassie, and we've got a bunch of guys. Defending champion Johnny Clark's going to be there too. So there are 57 late models, super late models there for some big money.
Big money. Great race. Always has been. A lot of big name drivers. Ricky Craven has won it. Guys like Dick McCabe from up there have won it. Bobby Allison them used to go up there every year, and Bobby Allison them would come home with their tail between their legs because they couldn't win it. Red Farmers run it. I mean, you know, a lot of the guys that run down here went all the way to Maine, you know, to try to get some lobster, enjoy the race up there. And I'm telling you, man, that's some of the best short track. Darrell Waltrip's been there. I mean, guys that just cup guys would go up there, Dale Earnhardt, and they just couldn't win it. The guys that race there locally would kick their behinds. And so, I mean, you know, you're talking about Jamie Alluby and Chuck Bound and guys that came south and didn't do so well, and some did, some didn't. But, you know, the Joys ran there. I mean, just it's just so cool. That place is so full of history like Five Flag Speedway is. You know, it's an awesome place, and it's an exciting race to watch and listen to.
Yeah. They're going to have Travis Benjamin, Gabe Brown, Curtis Jerry. This is a former winner. Johnny Clark, defending champion, Mike and Ben Rowe, Bubba Pollard, Cole Butcher, Derek Griffith, and Nick Sweet. I mean, that's just to name a few, 57 drivers that are pretty much capable of making that show.
Yep.
And winning it and taking home that check.
Yeah, and Stephen Nassie's going to be there, so
Right.
Yeah.
he wants to win it. I mean, it's, you know, that's one of those races that, man, if you can win that and win like the Snowball Derby and probably 2 or 3 other little short track races around America, like that the one out there in Wisconsin, the Slinger Nationals.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you can win those, that's kind of like the crown jewels of short track racing. And Bubba's won all of them but the Snowball Derby. So, you know, got to brag on my boy Bubba because I am a Bubba Pollard fan. Went into Canada and won $75,000 at the King of the Pros. I mean, the dude's awesome. Went out to California and won a big race out there. I mean,
No, it was a winter shootout and the summer showdown.
Summer Showdown, yeah.
Yeah.
And won those races, and those are crown jewels. He's got most of them. He just needs that Snowball Derby, and I think he'll have to be complete. But the Oxford 250 is a really cool race. I've been following it since I was a kid when I'd read all the stock car magazines, and when I'd read on the cover Oxford 250, I'd opened up immediately and just read about it, you know, because there was always, you know, somebody famous coming out of the B main and getting in a wreck and getting run off the track. There's no walls on that place. You get sent off, you just get sent flying.
Yeah.
So it's a real neat track and will be a very interesting race to listen to or watch.
Yeah, it's not really a consistent oval either.
No.
I mean, it's 3/8, which is a very small track, but it's kind of like a jelly bean design.
Yeah, it's funky.
It's very inconsistent, and you've got to be strong on one side and maybe not so strong on another because it's not really consistent where you can get the car balanced to perform like that on both ends.
That's true, and like I said, it's a unique track with a unique theme, and man, that's on my bucket list of races I want to go see live and in person.
Well, those two with the Motor Mile and then the Oxford 250 are going to be absolutely
Barn burners.
Barn burners and recaps next week in episode 16. This week is 15, and you guys, we wrapping up another episode, and
Absolutely.
just take those 2.5 weeks, Jim, and just be patient. Now you know it's coming. Just kind of dot your I's and cross your T's, and
That's what we're gonna do.
let it fall where it's going to. And I've told you this before. I just kind of felt that it was, your time. You've been at it for a long time, and it's going to happen. And Ted will be there alongside and get all the shots for us. And hopefully we'll have some highlights that we can share, and
Right.
we'll go from there. But it's always a pleasure to get together with you guys and go over this short track stuff. I'm excited about this weekend, and then what's coming up here in the next couple of weeks for Jim to celebrate, and we'll have a really good episode that night.
Yeah, we will. And I also get out and get to your local short track. You got weekend races everywhere. You got weekday races. Get your kids. Go have some fun, man. Take a kid to a short track race, even if he's not yours. There may be a neighbor kid next door, because a friend of my dad's took me to my first race. It's not that my dad didn't enjoy going. My dad worked out of town a lot. But, you see a neighbor kid that's playing with Matchbox cars, ask him if he wants to go to the races. Bring him. We need new fans. We got to expand short track racing. Without it, we don't have a sport, man. And we don't have anything to talk about, and I don't have any driving to do. So let's get it done. Have some fun.
Well, we appreciate it. And Ted Baber Video Productions, Ted_Baber at yahoo.com.
That's it.
And JBP07 at hotmail.com. You make comments, ask some questions, and we'll get back to you. You can get with our Facebook page, Short Track Guys Podcast on Facebook. Leave us a comment. And check us out on all the podcast platforms that you have. Yeah, we're on every one of them, and we'd love to hear from you. And we appreciate your support. And guys, we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Same today, man. Good night, everybody.